Welcome back to the next episode on the Civic. We're up to episode number 6 now. Last episode we worked on my engine bay and we bogged everything, and now we're up to the other side. That side's completely sanded, so we're just going to chuck some bog on it and let it dry. Then I've got other plans for this episode, so if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and give me a comment on the video, as I greatly appreciate it, and make sure you like as well, because we need those YouTube algorithms. As you guys know, bog is extremely messy, so I'm just going to set up my camera and I'm going to get into laying some absolute slabs. So this is what I've done for like the past hour and a bit, I believe. I think that's pretty good for now. I understand that on both sides we're gonna probably have to do like one more like coat over the top of everything once we get everything sanded back and find all the parts where I've missed or like failed. This is my second time bogging. I think I did okay. I'm still absolutely horrible. It's very, very tricky. So I'm gonna let this dry and then we're going to start sanding everything back the next day. I'll see you guys then. So now I'm just going to get straight into sanding it. I'm not going to bother recording it because it's going to be too hard. I just want to try to get the sanding done because it's the most boringest part. So yeah, let me get into it now. Just did a quick trip down to Bunnings for some masks and some more sandpaper, like the sheets for my electric sander. And I just got some other supplies. This episode's drink is indeed, give me a second. Oh yeah, Matzo's. It's ginger beer, but it's like their strong version and it's in like a smaller can. So, not bad. Alright, let's get back into it. So it's been 3 weeks, I think, since I last recorded on this camera. I just checked my footage. But I just wanted to speak about getting out and doing this. When I was sanding down my first coat, I found it very demotivating and extremely hard. I was that close to just chipping it all away and restarting and just not even bothering with it. I stuck to it and I got away with continuing on with it. So I started off the easy side, and then as you get into it and you get going, it's very satisfying and starts to come together and look very nice. So that's why I've continued on with this. It's a bit of a heartache trying to start out doing it your first time, especially when you've put too much bog on everything. So yeah, I just want to say that pretty much just dig your heart out and just put some headphones in and just conquer it. Kind of get used to listening to the sad music I couldn't listen to before. I just use that as my advantage, use my anger and my sadness and just head down and just got to it. So also, if you guys didn't see one of my TikTok reels, I went over using like spreaders or scrapers. So I've decided to go ahead and use this scraper. It's from Bunnings Warehouse. So yeah, it gives you so much more control because it doesn't actually flex. So you can get away with just scraping everything instead of having it just spread out everywhere. You understand if you get into it and do it yourself. So I recommend just using one of these straight up. You can also use this to chip off large chunks of bog, and it makes your life so much easier. Just for you guys out there trying to do your own stuff, this is the best thing you can get. Best thing. So I have officially sanded everything back the way I want it, and so what I did is I put my first coat on each side, sanded both sides, and then with the imperfections I went over it and did a very light coat on both sides, and that's where we're up to now, where I've sanded the second coat down. Yeah, now I'll show you what we're going to do next. So up next I'm going to be using some spray putty as it fills in all the little imperfections in the engine bay and the parts where I can't really bog. Hopefully this works. This is my idea, and then after that we can sand everything down and get everything all down to like a very fine degree of sandpaper, and then we can start priming and painting everything. So that's like me just messing around pretty much with one can. I've managed to do like both sides. It actually looks really good, but there's a lot of small imperfections still I gotta fix up. I still gotta sand all that down. For some reason I forgot to sand that, so it's too late. But hopefully I've sprayed it on really thick, so it makes like a really thick coat, so it soaks, like kind of like seeps into the little imperfections. There's still heaps up here I gotta sort out, but it's the next weekend, and this is where we're up to. So last weekend I sprayed both sides, and then this weekend and a bit of last weekend I sanded it back again with 60 grit, and I've just painted the putty back over it again. But we've had a bit of problems with cracking where the original body filler is and where the panels overlap, because nothing's perfectly welded together. So I've just run a line that goes along there, that's the main part, and same with down there. So I've got to follow them, and then I'll put my own seam sealer in, and yeah, that's what we're gonna have to do. So there's gonna be visible seam sealer, and it's not all just gonna be smooth like that anymore, otherwise it's just all gonna crack. But that doesn't really faze me anymore, because yeah, it's just an engine bay after all. So now what we're gonna do is sand the rest of the engine bay, sand it down. I don't know what sandpaper yet. I have a bunch of sandpaper I've got in a box, so we'll figure out what grit we're gonna use. But for now, I'm just gonna get sanding on everything, and I'll catch you guys in the next update. So right now I have gone around and sanded pretty much most of the engine bay with some 180 grit sandpaper. So now I'm just gonna prep everything, tape where the parts where I don't want the primer to go and the paint, and then we will chuck on some primer. But yeah, I'm going to make sure I wipe everything down with back some grease remover and do everything properly, and it should look pretty good. I haven't done like this bottom part of the frame because we got to weld some stuff to it, so we'll paint that later, but for now we'll just get everything else done. So I just realized I got some stuff to do this afternoon, so I've only been able to primer the front like radiator support, so I don't really have time to set up like all the sheets and everything to finish painting the rest of the body, like the engine bay. So I've just done this front radiator support because it's the part that's mainly out in the weather, and at the moment the weather is changing fairly rapid, so I'm going to quickly get this primer to finish drying, and I'll come out here probably during the week and sort the rest out. But I mainly want to weld on the intercooler bracket and the radiator support brackets as well. I want to weld them back on, and then I'll sand the rest of the radiator support at the front and then primer everything all together. Been using this primer here, Color Spec. It goes on really like orange peely. It's not the nicest, so obviously I'm gonna have to sand it back, get most of the orange peel out. It actually looks really good. We're coming along together now. It's like we're so close to actually getting everything in one color, so not much left to go, guys. I'm getting excited, so I'll see you guys during the week hopefully. So just quickly before it gets too dark, this is my intercooler. I got it from eBay or CX Racing. I've seen these support well over 400 horsepower, so it's over my goals at the moment, and it fits my chassis really good. There's a slight modification I've got to do to the actual front radiator support, but other than that, yeah, let's unbox it and make some brackets for it. The big violin. So this one is indeed a dual passage intercooler. So first the air will run through one side, go around, and then come out the other side. So it passes through the cooling fins 2 times. Let's make these brackets. So I have been following on from a video from Young Static over in America. He's got an EG hatch doing the exact same swap pretty much. So that's the same intercooler he's using. So pretty much all he's done is got the thing sitting central onto the radiator support. This is a very should be a very simple install. All I got to do is design brackets and then weld them back on. And then like I said in the previous episode, I've got to trim out a bit of this so then the piping can go in. So I've also purchased the cheapest intercooler piping you can get, and that is eBay. It comes with a bunch of silicone joins, like a few 90s, a few straights, and then it comes with like a full two U shapes, some other 90s and 45s, and then some clamps. I'll put the prices up again for these. We'll see how these go. I should have got some black ones, but it's okay, we can always change them out later. Visible ones. But yeah, I need the 90s to go on the end of my intercooler so we can make the brackets for that dog down there. And then also I picked up this bit of, I think it's like 75 by 3mm flat bar. We're going to use that for the brackets.
Sitting at a red light and some jerk decides to randomly give me the finger. I've never seen this guy in my life. Man, humans freaking suck and our stench really lingers. What can I do? What can I say? Nothing seems to go my way. I've gotta find a better place. Another ball of gas is calling my name. I know it's kind of drastic, but I've got plans to make a big move. You wanna know just where to? Well, let me tell you now. Elon sent me to Mars, 'cause life is just too bizarre for me on Earth. So let's be up to the stars in an electric car, yeah. Oh, I'm putting my faith in you. Scrolling through my news feed and some idiots are blabbing about facts and figures. I chime in and state my case, and they're all freaking out like I pulled a trigger. To the moon, normies say, but I'm aiming further away. I'll have a home, a Martian made, and no human beings up in my face. I know it's kind of crazy, but I've wanted to go there since I was 2. I'm strapping on my face to goodbye world I knew. Elon sent me to Mars, 'cause life is just too bizarre for me on Earth. So let's be up to the stars in an electric car, yeah. Oh, I'm putting my faith in you. When the planet turns its back on you, occupy Mars and start anew.
Have been given the scientific knowledge, technical ability, and the materials to pursue the exploration of the universe.
I've got all of my belongings and plenty of things to do. If they've got a gift shop up there, I'll send a postcard to you. Maybe sometime you can come and visit. That'd be pretty cool. But now, excuse me, it's time to blast off. I'm counting down 4, 3, 2.
So now that I've got the intercooler and the spot that I want it to go in, I've gone ahead and actually marked the center line. I've lined it up with the center bolt hole there. I wouldn't mind it getting slightly over that way, it doesn't really matter too much. But now I'm going to lie on this and get my measurements from underneath and make the brackets for either side.
Be up to the stars in an electric car, yeah. Oh, I'm putting my faith in you. When the planet turns its back on you, occupy Mars and start a
So this is my second night in a row out here trying to get the intercooler brackets on and the intercooler on, and I've finally got it on. So here it is here. Just got it on with the bottom brackets. So I plan to just put some bolts through the top here and yeah, and just secure it through the top radiator support. Yeah, I made brackets on the bottom, but also my lighting is insanely good because, as you guys know, I've been working out here with just this light up here, and it's been extremely hard. So I've gone down to Bunnings Warehouse and I have picked up like some floodlights, and it's made everything so much brighter. So just for now, I'm going to pack it in tonight, and I'm just going to grind back my welds or whatever, all the bird poo I've put down, and then paint it all and get it like, so there's going to be like no rust. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, I guess. Coming back into it now, I have designed these top like braces or like just supports, I've just drilled through the radiator support, so I'm going to fabricate or like cut a tube that will fit for this M8 bolt, just to like stop that from bending and pulling down. So just put like a spacer in there for both of these and put a washer on the top. But for now, this is like holding very good. We've got to organise clearance for these pipes. I've got to figure out which way I'm going to run them. But yeah, it's looking good. So I have pulled out my old radiator that was keeping the B16 cool. So I'm hoping it'll keep the K24 cool. It's a half radiator and it's a aluminium one as well. So she's a bit old and crusty. Bracket still. Yeah, so it used to live on this side of the engine bay, now it's got to live on this side, so we got to make sure we have clearance for the intercooler piping down there. But for now, I'm just going to not put it in at the moment, as I don't exactly know where I need to put it for the coolant hoses to not be kinked. So I'll end up making some brackets later on and drill holes like that on the bottom and make a bracket. Plus I have these threaded holes, so I can make a nice bracket and reuse that on the top maybe here. Probably drill a hole for that. Now we can actually start sanding the whole front rad support and then get it ready for primer. And then tomorrow hopefully we'll lay out the sheets and get everything primed all at once. I'm very happy with the progress tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Back out here again for like the 4th time in a row on the week. Up next is getting the engine bay pretty much ready for primer tonight. I'm hoping to lay my first coat. So I'm going to give the bay a clean with some soapy water. Then we can lay down our sheets, plastic sheets, and lay the primer. So I've managed to just cover most of the stuff that I want to. I'm going to get more alfoil to just cover up the brake lines, as it's a good way of recycling and reusing everything. But for now, I've just got stuff trying to hold it down to stop it from blowing, because I'm hoping there's going to be no wind tomorrow or the next day, so then I can paint everything and then sand it back and then paint it properly. I still would maybe do this side, but other than that, we're ready to pretty much chuck some primer on. I just got to go over tomorrow. It's good good progress on tonight. Over half an hour just to get the plastic down. Probably took me about 45 minutes. It's insanely long doing this preparation work. Not long now. We're at getting to the peak of the hill. Once I get the bay painted, it's just downhill from there. I have all the parts pretty much on the shelf, so I can go ahead and fit everything up. So yeah, get keen. So it's Friday afternoon. I've had a few beers. If you know, you know. I've just finished wiping down the whole engine bay completely with wax and grease remover. I'm just gonna get straight into it. I can't talk properly. So I've just finished doing my first coat. I did it a little bit wet on accident. It's just a rookie mistake, but it took me about 1.5 cans to finish. I've been out here for maybe half an hour, a bit more. I'm trying to take my time, but I'm also a bit impatient, but here's the results.
I sit here crying when you're out with someone else, and I want you here with me when it's 3 a.m. Though I wish I didn't go.
Other than sniffing primer tonight, I'm pretty happy with the results. So tomorrow I'll probably get on to maybe doing another coat and then sanding it back with a really fine grit. Coming back into it on this miserable Saturday morning. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but we have had a little bit of cracking on the body where I've bogged because I've done it over the seam sealer without really knowing it's going to crack. Obviously seam sealer flexes and contracts with weather and temperature. So what I've done is I've actually ground down where the original seam sealer has gone on both sides. So it's not going to look as fresh and neat, but it's still going to be nice. And then I'm going to start laying that out now. I've just blown everything off, so now it's time to just lay it down. Sunday morning, I've just let the seam sealer all dry up overnight kind of thing. I did the seam sealer around about the same time today, maybe like midday kind of thing, like before midday. Yeah, so I've chosen to lay my own seam sealer down, and this is the result. So I just got to still go over with a razor blade and then sand it down, but it's actually turned out really nice, and it's also paintable and sandable. So the stuff I'm using is this Sikaflex automotive sealant. It's pretty good. It's more like silicone kind of stuff though, you know. Like it doesn't have the hard properties that the normal seam sealer does. It's more like silicone, and you can just push it in. It's a lot more flexible. But hopefully it does the job. The way I put it down as well is I put tape on either side of the channel. So first I found out where the original seam sealer kind of went, and then I used one of those Ryobi like strip sanders. I'll put up a picture right now. Yeah, so I put tape on either side, and then I laid the seam sealer down and then spread it across the tape. And when it was like semi-dried yesterday afternoon, I kind of just pulled the tape off, and then the seam sealer on the side doesn't stick to the tape, so it kind of just flaps up. So that's the part that you cut off. Obviously I didn't want to record it because it's kind of boring and it's time consuming and it's sticky stuff. It goes everywhere. I'll be cleaning this up after lunchtime. Got to go to a 21st birthday event, Jude's birthday. Happy birthday, bro. We're going out for dinner. We're going out for lunch, sorry. So yeah, after I get back from Jude's event, hopefully we'll get onto this and then sand the whole engine bay down with a finer grit, because there's still some imperfections obviously. So far it's been a massive effort with this engine bay, just getting to where it is now. It's taken me probably a few weekends now in a row of doing this exact same sanding and all that. So make sure you like, follow and subscribe. Now I'm going to continue sanding this engine bay. I'll see you guys in the next YouTube video. Cheers.